Good morning to everyone. Or good afternoon. I don't know because it's lunchtime in my country, so I'm not absolutely sure. It's been an honor to be here again. This is my second time in this kind of convention, but I was here last year visiting different schools, right? And providing workshops. So it's always a pleasure to share time with you and to learn from you. I can see familiar faces, some of our advisors, Susana Aleman, thank you very much, Isabel de la Cruz, there. They help us, they are our eyes when we write books as in AZES, our publishing house, right? We work there just together with you, right? In order to provide and to help you in your teaching practice. I thanked Mr. because he reminded me my days at the university. I had to write, and a lot. And I told him that I suffer from stomachache whenever I have to write an essay in English, right? And ironically, then I became a writer. Okay, so my presentation is more than books. So on behalf of the publishing house, our publishing house, why more than books? And let's start analyzing some of our principles there. I need my friends here. Lately, they will be with me. Right? My glasses. Next, because it's not working from here. Okay. So, God is love. And God created man in his own image. God blessed man and gave him the opportunity to interact with him as his creator, with other peers, and with nature. And these were perfect, well-balanced relationships. But unfortunately, because of the presence of sin, these well-balanced relationships were broken. So our communion with God has been spoiled. We are in constant conflict with our peers, and unfortunately, we do not take care of the environment that surrounds us. But these relationships can be fostered through true education. So, what true education is, according to Helen White in her book Education, page 13, true education means more than the pursuit of a certain course of study. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. It's the harmonious development of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual powers. It prepares the students for the joy of service in this world and for a higher joy of wider service in the world to come. It's a continuous and everlasting process where the relationship with our Creator must be the first element to be taught in the learning process of any human being. Like this? Okay. So the Adventist interest in propagating education was founded upon the philosophy that students at all levels of schooling are individuals, and they possess individuality and should be educated to use God-given capacities to be individuals of principles and individuals qualified for any position in life. So that is one the major aim in our books. So Adventists have been embraced the philosophy that education should be redemptive in nature for the purpose of restoring human beings to the image of God. So mental, physical, social, and spiritual health, intellectual growth, and service to humanity form the core values that are essential aspects of the Adventist education philosophy. So those are our aims. Next, please. In our books, we try to ensure that the principle of integration is faith, teaching, and learning. Try to develop Christian values while students are learning English. We present Jesus as our creator, protector, and friend. We provide a balance among cognitive, spiritual, physical, and social dimensions, and we develop language skills. Those are our aims. Our syllabus intend to provide a balance among these cognitive, spiritual, physical, and social dimensions to develop language, skill, and social values. And the activities have been thought to develop the student's mind in the acquisition of a foreign language, to learn through practice and by doing, physically, to interact with peers, and to see, especially Jesus, as part of our daily lives. But how can we achieve this? Because one question is, how can we put this theory into practice? Next, please. How to approach learning as teachers. Integration of faith and teaching used to learn. There was no separation between faith and reasoning, God and history, the sacred and the secular, between pedagogy and religion. Jesus is part of our daily lives, so we as Christian teachers cannot leave Jesus out of our teaching practice. So this must be done through modeling, right? So whenever it's possible, when we introduce a topic, even to little kids, we need to establish connections. We need to make connections. For example, if we are teaching animals, right? Something as simple as that. How to name animals in English. We can help the students make connections that animals were created but by our Lord. To have a deep knowledge of our students' background. Why do you think that this is important? No answers? If we know about our students' prior knowledge, about their interest, about what kind of contributions they can provide into the class. So those are elements for us as teachers that help us to design interesting activities to help them be engaged in the class. But we have to be aware of what they have already known. An effective learning environment. I heard that one of the common issues that we have as teachers is classroom management. In order to learn, we have to feel comfortable. It's not possible that learning can take place if we feel in a threatened environment. But at the same time, students need to know that there are certain rules to respect. And we have to provide a friendly atmosphere so that learning can take place. Respect towards a student's differences. Oh, next. Okay. We were created unique. We have different ways of learning. Not everybody learns at the same pace, and we have to respect that. Uniqueness is an essential quality of human beings. So we have to bear that in mind when we are teaching. Sometimes we are looking at our watch and say, okay, I do not have much time and I have to hurry up and I have to finish this. Wait, because you are not respecting the student's individuality. Not everybody learns in the same way. They have different pace of learning. So there must be also, next, a relationship between theory and practice. We cannot provide just theoretical things. Students must need to put into practice what they are learning, using different strategies, different techniques that we are going to learn during the workshops. That's an invitation, right? Kind of publicity. Okay. And another of aspects that we have to bear in mind as teachers is that we need to help our students to develop their creativity. Our children come to class with creative potential, and they need to develop these skills, right? We have to provide activities in which students can apply flexible thinking, not just mere repetition. It's not the way to promote their imagination. And the last one, but not the least one, teaching values. This is one of our characteristics as Adventist teachers. How to teach values? Can they be taught explicitly or through modeling? What do you think? Sometimes we allow our students to hand in paper on time, but we do not give the feedback in appropriate time. We take more than is expected, right? I think that is on. So values are better taught by modeling than to be taught explicitly. Okay. So, as I'm part of the publishing house, we would like to introduce you the different English series that we have. Just imagine, this book is for 5-year-olds, and in 2021, we are launching for 4-year-old students. My Time and Knowledge, My Time and English Plus, that is still available, right, for primary levels. And Knowledge series is for higher school or secondary school students. Are you familiar with the Common European Framework? Yes, of course, as English teachers. Okay, so our books corresponds to these levels. The first 3, My Time 1, 2, and 3, they are below A.1 because we are introducing students to the foreign language. My Time 4 is for approximately A1.1. If you are familiar with Cambridge test, is a starter level, right? Okay, and then my time 5 and my time 6. This is, if you see the back of our books, you have this correspondence, right? So that you can choose the best book for your classes. Okay, and this is the high school series. There you have the correspondence too. But all the books has been written in, taking into account the Common European Framework. So, the book components, what can you find there? So I invite you to be curious, right? And to visit our webpage, because there you will have that all the units are topic-based. They have online resources, plenty of online resources. They are free, you can download them. There's no problem about that. Projects, special days, wrap-ups, stickers, flashcards, cutouts, and an integrated webbook. So, how our books are organized taking into account these principles. We go from something that has already been taught, taking into account students' prior knowledge. So we work with the zone of proximal development. And we introduce a significant context for our students, and we focus on values and language skills. So in that way, the known language is, the new language is introduced through the known language. Our books are divided into sections. They are quite flexible depending on the amount of hours that you have per week. So at the very beginning, the student's book is divided into sections. So we have the language development, where the language is introduced and practiced, and there you can have all the language skills to be developed. Then you have language development skills, that is a special section to develop listening, speaking, reading, and writing from the very early stages. Christian and social value development. In the case of kids, you will find them in the story time section with stories from the Bible, and then there is always a revision to sum up and to follow up what had been taught during the process. So there is always a topic-based zone, because we believe that that is the way to learn vocabulary, and not only vocabulary, but also pronunciation and intonation, because our students are not native students of English. So we have Spanish students have a total different accent. We have a syllabic pronunciation. We stress every single word, and that is not the case in English. So through songs, we can help students to learn English intonation. Okay, so these activities maybe can answer some of the questions that were asked before. Are used to develop mental, physical, spiritual, and social powers, thinking skills, the 4 language skills, and they cater for different learning styles and multiple intelligences. So the books are completely useful for mixed ability classes. Okay, this is a special section that all our books include, and is related to content and language integrative learning. Are you familiar with that? The CLIL, another methodology that we use in English. If you are not familiar, you can come to one of the workshops too. And we have appendices These are the appendices for high school students. We have general knowledge, cultural knowledge, projects, workbook, vocabulary builder, and grammar reference. Just very simple explanation for our students, because the focus is on communication. And there is a lot of material. So whenever you see that icon in our books, it's because there are online resources. So there you can find teachers' books, and the exams are included there, but you need the password. So if you have pen and paper now, I can give you the password. And you can download them. It's access, capital letters. Access, capital letter, and then lowercase, en el aula. Very easy. If you forget that, just send a message to our publishing house. Again, access, capital letter, en el aula, all together. Access en el aula. Okay. There you will find the audio tracks, the teacher's book, interactive communication sheets, worksheets in PDF for students to print them, the flashcards, the story time cards, integrated grammar sheets with automatic marking. You do not have to check that. They are designing in the form of a game, word games, vocabulary, interactive vocabulary pages, especially for kids. So whenever you introduce a chapter, you have there the same page, and students can scroll the mouse over the image, and they have the written word, and also they can hear the pronunciation of that word. Okay. So it's very easy. You have to type Access Educación, right? And then you select materiales didácticos and the level that you require, primary, initial, or high school, for high school students. But there is a tip. Whenever you find the book that you are interested in, you have to click on that book, and there you have a display with all the resources. Okay. So we have books, and we can provide books, but we believe that our books are more than books, because apart from all the balance that I have explained, the books are kind of excuse for us to help students learn more about our Creator, to help students learn about our Jesus love. And remember that beyond a book, whenever a child brings a book to the class, it's because there is a family there. So the whole family can learn about our values and our philosophy. And the book can be the best or can be the worst. And what do you think? When the book can be the best or can be the worst? Because the book is good, or because your teaching practice is book? So we are here just to help you, to provide you material. But it doesn't mean that you have to follow every steps, because you are the teachers who know the students. You know their interests, their favorites, their problems. So the teaching practice is not based on a book. You are the ones that can make your teaching practice unique and wonderful. So, are you committed to education? You do not have to answer that question now. But let me read a text. And forgive me if I start crying, because every time I read it, I feel moved. It's about an experience carried out in Baltimore. I get moved before I start. Love, the one creative force. Spread love everywhere you go. First of all, in your own house. Give love to your children, to your wife or husband, to a next door neighbor. Let no one ever come to you without living better and happier. Be the living expression of God's kindness, kindness in your face, kindness in your eyes, kindness in your smile, kindness in your warm greeting. Mother Teresa. A college professor has his sociology class going to Baltimore poor areas to get case histories of 200 young boys. They were asked to write an evaluation of each boy's future. In every case, the students wrote, what can you imagine? He hasn't got a chance. Wow. 25 years later, another sociology professor came across the earlier study, and he had his students follow up on the project to see what had happened to these boys. With the exception of 20 boys who had moved away or died, the students learned that 176 of the remaining 180 students had achieved more than ordinary success as lawyers, doctors, teachers, and businessmen. The professor was very surprised and decided to pursue the matter further. Fortunately, all the men were in the area, and he was able to ask each one, how do you account for your success? And in each case, the reply came with feeling. There was a teacher. The teacher was still alive. So he sought her out and asked the old but still alert lady what magic formula she had used to pull those boys out of the poor and bad conditions into successful achievements. The teacher's eyes sparkled, and her lips broke into a gentle smile. It's really very simple, she said. I loved those boys. Edith Butterworth. Do you love your students? Do you believe that they have a better future? Do you think, or are you convinced that God has already given you this talent to help others become better person? To help them develop in all the areas? So now I will apply your games. If you are committed to education, sit down. If you are committed to Adventist education, stand up. Thank you very much. God bless you. Okay, I will stop.
You may take. Hello? Hello? Hello. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You may take your seats.